we are still working d takes c4 line in the main variation. Let's just repeat what have we done before. So knight f3, d5, then c4, c6, g3, knight goes to f6. Of course, bishop goes to g2 for white, and then black takes the c4 pawn. Then the right move for white is short castle. And then we talked about two moves, b5 to protect the c4 pawn, and bishop e6 also to protect the c4 pawn. What will happen if black simply want to develop his pieces? So in that sense, he does this. Bishop goes to f5. I mean, he basically activates his bishop, and f5 square is actually, not bad square for black light square bishop. What to do? You remember that we have been attacking these pawns over and over by playing knight to a3. We will do that again. So knight a3 is typical move for this variation. Try to remember it. The c4 pawn is attacked. Then black play b5. I mean, if he doesn't play b5, he play e6. Just take there, bishop e7, and now there is a strong move for white. Just play d3, and then e4. Black will have problems with this bishop. You see, it's not great there. You know, this diagonal is now closed. So now castling, and then e4. If this bishop goes there, you can even play knight f e5, and at some point maybe even to take it. Why not? White is, of course, better. So this is just general idea for white. After knight a3, the main move for black is b5, so he's still trying to protect the c4 pawn. Then let's play b3. Our old idea, we will sacrifice a pawn, but we will get very strong attack on the queen side. So again, standard move for white in this variation. Just try to remember this. So the c4 pawn is well protected. There is no way that we can win the pawn back. So of course b3. C takes b3. Otherwise white will simply take there. So, and then queen takes b3, of course. e6. Now what is problematic in black position? Usually this bishop, light square bishop, stays there. And then it's like in some variation, it's good for black to have this bishop on b7 or on d7 to protect his pawn structure on the queen side. Now this bishop is on f5. Okay, that bishop is not bad, but it doesn't protect black queen side anymore. So let's play first d3 to close diagonal for this bishop. And then we will try first to develop our pieces and then to attack his position there. By the way, knight e5 move is very tempting, as you see, because after knight e5, white is attacking the c6 pawn. And then also there is knight takes b5 threat, many threats. But actually knight e5 is a dubious move because black has easy defense. He can play bishop e4. And now what is interesting, I mean, you basically have to take. But when you take there, then just it's not good for you to reduce material because you are at a pawn down. You want to complicate things. You want to keep more pieces on the board. You see, so just taking on e4 will not be so great idea. But what else to play? If you play f3, then bishop d5 will be played. Then this bishop is fantastic. You see, so just don't rush. Don't rush. Play d3 first, and then later in the future, knight e5 will be possible because this bishop cannot get to the e4 square. Okay, so d3, then a6 for black. I mean, he has to support the b5 pawn. It's very vulnerable there. So a6, and then it's not. It's okay to play knight e5 right now, but maybe it's even stronger to do something with the a3 knight. It's doing nothing there on a3. So let's play knight c2. So we do several things with this move. It's multi-purpose move. We want to activate this knight or f3 knight to d4 now. d4 is even stronger square than e5 because knight from d4 attacks the f5 bishop and the c6 pawn at the same time. Also, by playing knight to c2, white creates some space on the queen side for the a pawn, and then a4 will be possible to try to undermine black pawn structure on the queen side. Okay, so what will black do after knight c2? Probably something like bishop c5. He's trying to develop his pieces, and bishop c5 is an interesting move because black prevents knight d4. But then, I mean, let's just play a4. That's something we were planning to do, actually. Castling, and then white can simply play bishop to b2, and now d4 square is under control. Now knight d4 is definitely possible. Knight cd4, for example. Also, knight e5 is still possible to play. Also, very strong move for white. This rook from f8 will go to c8. This bishop on g2 is fantastic. I mean, later you will see that this diagonal will be deadly for black. And just black pawn structure on the queen side is very, very weak. I mean, just, yes, white is a pawn down. That is true, but white has much, much better position. So just again, just don't worry. Yes, you are a pawn down, but black position is not so good. His pawn formation on the queen side is not stable. That's the biggest problem for black in this position. Also, his development he's behind in development. He doesn't have so active pieces. On the other hand, our pieces are great. Yeah, I mean, so typical. After bishop f5, we do typical things. We play knight a3, then b5 for black. You know, if he doesn't play b5, you just take the pawn. You play d3, and then e4. White is already better. So b5 move, and then let's play b3. C takes, queen takes, with very, very good attack on the queen side. So knight c2, a4, of course, bring more pieces there and attack black queen side. Okay, we are done here. Now let's see what will happen if black play g6. So knight f3 is played, then d5, c4, c6, then g3, of course. Knight f6, bishop goes to g2. Then, of course, d takes c4, and then short castle. Black wants to develop his pieces, but this time like this. He played g6 because he wants to have fianchetto on the king side to play bishop to g7. His bishop will be good there on this diagonal, h8, a1 diagonal. So pretty much normal variation for black. We do the same. Knight goes to a3 to attack the c4 pawn. Now there are two variations, b5 and bishop g7. By the way, bishop g7 is stronger than b5 because like when black play bishop g7, he simply wants to like develop his pieces to castle. He doesn't pay attention on the c4 pawn, which is correct, because if black tries to protect the c4 pawn, he will make weaknesses on the queen side. So it is better to play bishop g7. Let's see b5 first. b5 is very tempting for black, so he's just trying to protect the pawn there. Then b3 is definitely possible move, I mean our typical move, but white can also play something slightly different. Let's play knight e5 straight away. There are actually two threats, knight c6, and there is also knight takes b5 threat. Not easy for black to defend the c6 and b5 pawns, so the best move definitely for him is queen c7. You see, if you take the b5 pawn now, then queen takes your knight on e5, so be careful. Here the best move for white is definitely d4. Try to remember this. I mean, this move is not so obvious, so you would have to know in this moment what to play. Why is d4 a strong move? Because you open c1 h6 diagonal for your dark squared bishop, and you gain some space in the center, of course. And we will see that later this pawn will be very useful. Okay, so there is still knight takes b5 threat. Now the e5 knight is under protection. By the way, let's see what will happen if black does this en passant. Then let's play bishop f4. Just black queen is in the pin there on c7. So yeah, he takes on e2 first with tempo. People usually do that. Then of course queen takes e2, and then take a look. Now there are so many threats. There is, you can move your knight somewhere, and there is discovered attack on black queen on c7. Of course that is possible. There is still knight takes b5 threat. You can also play rook c1, rook d1, and then there is the c6 pawn is very, very vulnerable. Just there are many things now, and black simply cannot prevent all those threats. He can try, but we will see that he will not succeed. So maybe queen b6 to get out of the pin. The most logical move for black, of course. And then let's play rook from f1 to c1. I mean, our rook on f1 is doing nothing. It's better to activate f1 rook than a1 rook, because we will maybe need our a1 rook on the a file, maybe later to push a4 or something like that. So rook fc1 is standard move. Look, but yeah, don't get me wrong, rook ac1 is also playable. White is in this position much better, so whatever you do, I mean, I think that you will have advantage. Also, knight b5 is, knight takes b5 is possible, but rook fc1 is even stronger, because you bring one more attacker there, and just black is not able to protect his position on the queen side. He will definitely lose material. Now there is direct threat, just the take on c6 with the knight. I mean, obvious threat. So he played knight, bishop to b7. Now there is like a brilliant move for white. I mean, try to remember this idea because it is very, very nice. And after doing this, black is almost lost. Let's play knight from a3 to c4, attacking the queen. Black has the take there. And then knight from e5 takes on c4. Now this is actually double attack, double threat. White is threatening to take the queen and to do this. Queen d6 check. Black king has to go to d8 or d7 in that case. So black king will be in the center of the board, and of course white will have many mate threats. Now the game is almost over. I mean, just black is completely lost. Now let's see what will happen in this variation. Of course, queen goes to d8. Most stubborn defense for him. Of course, knight d6. King goes to d7. And now the simplest way to play this position is just to take the bishop on b7. You can also take the f7 pawn, you can also do many other things, but this is the simplest way, just to take that piece back, and then later everything will be easy. I mean, you have so many ideas and motives here that it's of course impossible for black to save the game. Now you can even take the knight on b8, and then the c6 pawn will be taken with your bishop. So just black position is falling apart totally. Okay, we're actually done here. So again, just to remind you, this is critical moment. Black has several moves here. So he play g6, then of course white play knight a3. We said that b5 is dubious move, much better move is bishop g7. Later we will analyze bishop g7 for sure. After b5, b3 is playable, but knight e5 is even stronger. Queen goes to c7 and then d4, just to protect the knight. C takes d3 is a mistake, because you play bishop f4, and after queen e2, just it is impossible for black to defend his position there. Right? After rook fc1, it's almost over. What else to do? So definitely en passant is wrong, so probably better move is a6 to improve his pawn structure on the queen side. Sure. Let's play b3 now. b3 is a typical move, so we do this a lot. You already noticed that, so just whenever you don't know what to play, just play b3. Okay, c takes b3. And now this is very interesting and instructive moment. Queen takes b3 is logical move. I mean, you can just some chess players play this move mechanically, but the point is a takes b3 is stronger than queen takes b3 in this case. Why? If you take there with the queen, of course you are still better. White is still better. White has very nice position. But black can play bishop e6 with tempo. Then you bring the queen back, and then maybe bishop g7 to castle as soon as possible. Of course, white still has advantage, but black improved his position a little bit. So we don't want to let him to develop his bishop with tempo on e6. Let's just take there with the a pawn. And now, why is this interesting? There is an instant threat. Knight takes b5 is very dangerous threat. C takes b5 is impossible. The rook is hanging. A takes b5 is impossible. Also, the rook on a8 is hanging. So very, very interesting moment. So a takes b3. Then bishop goes to b7 to protect the rook on a8, of course. And then let's again play bishop to f4. Dangerous. Queen b6 has to be played. The only good move for black. And then again, fantastic move. We have already done this before, something like this, something similar. Knight from a3 goes to c4. Now it is different than before, but generally you see it is very similar idea. B takes c4 has to be played. And then, unbelievably, but just b takes c4. White sacrificed his knight like for nothing, only for one pawn. But white gets very, very strong attack on the queen side. What is the next move? Definitely rook b1. And then black queen has almost nowhere to go. We will see actually what will happen. So for example, if black play something like bishop to g7, he doesn't pay attention on the queen side. He's just trying to play short castle as soon as possible. Then just play rook to b1. Queen has to go back to a7. Queen has to protect the bishop, you see, so that's basically the only good square. And then after queen b3, black cannot save the bishop. If this bishop cannot be protected. If black wants to save it, then in that case he has to do this. But then white does this, knight c6. The queen is hanging, the knight on b8 is hanging. It's attacked 4 times. So he has to take the knight, and then after bishop takes c6, black is completely lost. So, I mean, he would probably have to play short castle, but then after queen takes b7, queen takes, rook takes, black position is ruined, and white is winning here. So, yeah, again, very interesting idea. So knight from a3 jumps to c4, so piece sacrifice, b takes, and then we analyze bishop g7. What will happen if black play e6 instead? Also very interesting. So now white has more time. Why? Because black still has to develop dark square bishop and then to castle. So in this variation, he's basically tempo down. Let's play rook b1 first, sure. Queen has to go to a7, as we said, and now there is a very good pawn break in the center. d5. Very, very strong move. There are many threats. Again, d takes c6 is the most serious one. So black has to take on d5. Let's see first what will happen in this case. E takes, then c takes, knight takes, and then of course bishop takes d5. C takes d5, and then queen a4 check. King has to go to e7. What else? After king d8, there is knight takes f7. You see, so king goes to e7, and then after rook fc1, you see very quiet move. But sometimes quiet moves are the best. Rook fc1, and after rook fc1, there is no way that black can prevent rook c7. So the game is over. Black is completely lost. Okay, you see that white is a piece down, but black position is horrible. His position is falling apart. So just white will win material or white will mate black, depends. But white is totally winning. Okay, what will happen if black takes on d5 with the c pawn? Let's play queen a4 right away. Knight bd7, perhaps, and then bishop goes to g5. We want to remove the defender. Bishop takes f6 is the threat, and basically black cannot save a piece here, minor piece. The knight on f6 is hanging, so black has to do something like bishop g7, but then after bishop takes, there is queen takes d7, and checkmate on f7. If black tries to play queen e7 or queen d8, then there is direct checkmate on d7 with the queen, so the game is over. What else? Maybe knight from f6 goes back to d7. In that case, we can do something very simple. Black queen on a7 is trapped. So let's play bishop. Almost trapped. Sorry, yeah. Bishop e3. The only move for black is bishop to c5. By the way, if you play d4, then just take this bishop on b7. So it's horrible. Everything is hanging. Bishop c5 instead, yeah. Then let's take the bishop. He has to take with the queen, and then let's take the bishop on b7. Yes, sure, black can play short castle right now, but maybe that's even the best continuation for him. But now he will be a piece down. Yeah, so white is a piece up, and white, of course, has winning position. Very interesting variation, I think. I mean, just like white is winning here. So again, just to repeat very quickly. So d takes c4 is our topic, then short castle, and then g6 move. Knight goes to a3, so you know what to do if your opponent play b5. In that case, just play knight e5, queen c7, and then you should play d4. C takes d3 en passant is a mistake. a6 is better, but then again, you play b3, c takes. We don't want to take with the queen. Let's take with the pawn. Bishop b7, because there is knight b5 threat. Bishop f4, queen b6, and then fantastic tactical blow. Knight ac4, and then after b takes c4, just a quiet move. B takes c4, and black position is falling apart. Okay, unbelievable variation. Okay, let's see something else. Black, after knight e3 was the last move. Black wants to play something more solid. In that sense, he simply does this. Bishop goes to g7. I mean, normal variation. White will have slight advantage, of course, but this is definitely playable variation for black. Of course, let's take the c4 pawn, short castle, and then let's play d3. So our setup will be like this. Our pawn will be on d3, and this pawn will be on e4. That's something we do a lot in the Reti opening. It's better than to play d4, because after d4 it's specific and it's different. It's different. So it's better to do this and to play e4. Black is having some problems with his light square bishop, because there is no good square for it. If he develops his bishop to f5, that's great for us. We will play e4 with tempo. If he play bishop g4, then we can play knight from f3, jumps to e5 with tempo. You see, so maybe it's better for him to play knight bd7 first. Then let's play queen to c2, normal developing move. Knight goes to b6. Black is trying to reduce material, to exchange pieces, because then it will be easier for him to play. So knight b6 is a good move. Then let's play e4. Typical move. Knight takes c4. He has to do that sooner or later. And then after d takes c4, white can just play bishop e3, rook fd1, rook ac1, something like that. And white has slightly better position. I mean, very good position for white. Very, how would I say, just white has good pieces and good center. So it's like obvious that white has slight advantage. And yeah, a slight advantage, but long-term advantage. White just need to play normal chess, positional chess, and that's basically it. Okay, we are done with this. So again, just to remind you, what did we analyze in this part? We talked about two okay, d takes c4, sorry, short castle. Yeah, we analyzed two variations here. We talked about bishop f5 and about g6. In the next chapter, we will do the main continuation for black, and definitely that's the best move for him. We will talk about knight bd7. Why knight bd7? Because black is planning to protect the c4 pawn by playing knight b6. This is something that you definitely have to know. Okay.